Hi, everyone. This is Lori and my dear friend from Texas, one of my besties from Texas, Darlene.
Hi. Yes. Hi. What? Sorry.
And she has a bit of a drinking problem.
A drinking problem. Yeah.
She's got a lot of ice in that water.
Uh, but anyway, I'm Darlene Bryan. Yes, I'm from Texas, from Beaumont, Texas, and I'm a speech therapist by trade. And I met Lori through ASEA. That's a company we're both in, and we went to this Super Saturday, and
Yeah.
I met her. And I didn't really believe in psychics before I met Lori. And that was kind of interesting because my daughter had been talking about some things, and when I mentioned, oh, my daughter needs to meet you, she's into woo woo too, you know. So I really didn't know much about anything, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see her blue light, and she'd been telling me for 2 years about her blue light, and I was just like, oh, okay, Tess, first she could see it, in her dreams, and then at night, and then in the day. And the very first thing you said when I knew you for like, what, 3 minutes
Yeah.
is, oh, yeah, I see the blue light. I see her blue light, So I was like, wait, what? I didn't tell you anything about a blue light.
Yeah, and the thing about me is things come through me and I don't always remember, you know,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
sometimes it sticks with me and sometimes it's just like, "Oh, good. I'm glad I helped you with that."
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah, you're amazing. And then the other thing I remember is that you tell me I love flowers.
Oh, yeah, I
Something.
remember that because that
Yeah.
was
And I,
hilarious.
and I was like, flowers. Well, yeah, I get flowers every once in a while. They're okay. And then I lost everything in the flood. You knew that, but everything that we had a horrendous flood here back in 17, and I lost everything. And the only thing I have my house decorated in is flowers and crosses, but I hadn't realized that. And so afterwards, I went home and I looked around. I was like, oh, hmm, yeah, my whole house is in flowers and crosses. Yeah, yeah. You knew something I didn't know about me. That's funny, but I bought it.
Yeah, but I loved how open your awareness is once something is brought to your attention, and then it's like, "Oh, that is right in my face all this time."
I know. I thought you were going to say you love how I'm like clueless about the obvious.
But I remember you saying you had this story from, when you were in college.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've had little things along my life, always along my life where I would just get a feeling about something,
Mhm.
and sometimes I would act on it and sometimes I wouldn't. And later, if I did not act on it, I kind of feel like, man, I should have, because had it would have been easier, or this happened anyway, or whatever. And so maybe 15, 16, 17, I started just like doing it, even though it seemed silly at the time because I just didn't know. And so I had this experience in college, and my routine when I had a test was I would get up like at 4 o'clock in the morning, take a shower, and get to the library at like 6 o'clock, and I would go study. And I had like 10, 11, 12 o'clock classes. So I had good 5 hours to review all my notes again, and do well on the test or whatever. And so this one particular morning, we have this soundproof laundry room that was next door to us at the dorm. And this one morning, I get in there, and I'm getting ready, and I'm plenty early because the library doesn't open till 6, and it's like 5:15 or something. And all of a sudden, I get this feeling like I have to hurry. I've got to hurry. I got to hurry. I got to get it done. And I'm like putting on my eye makeup and, doing all this stuff in a rush. And so I rush out of the dorm, and it's like 5:25. And there's nothing open on campus at 5:25, so I'm walking to the library thinking, this is stupid. They're not open yet. What am I going to do? I'm just going to sit outside the library. It was just odd, but I got that feeling that I just had to go. And so I did it, like I kind of learned or taught myself to or whatever. And so I went to class, took tests, did all that stuff, and I don't get back to the dorm until 2 or 3 or 4, whenever my classes were over. And I take late classes, so I'll get up early. But I get, yeah, I come back to the dorm, and when I got there, there was tape, like the police tape
Like the
around the
caution
dorm.
tape,
All of,
like caution tape.
yeah, yeah, the caution or police tape. Like this is a crime scene tape.
Oh, oh,
And that,
oh.
yeah, crime scene tape, like they mark it, around the dorm. And you had to show your ID in order to be able to get into our dorm, and it was an all-girl dorm. And so I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And they said, well, there was a girl that's been raped here. And there was an incident. At first they said an incident, later they said that. And I said, really? And they said, I said, what happened? And they went on and told me the details. And the details were that this man, the doors weren't locked at the bottom, and so he could come in. And he came in and went up the stairwell to the second floor where I would have been in, and he headed out in the laundry room where I would have been at about 5:30. So I missed him by maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, otherwise he would have found me in the laundry room.
Yeah.
And it's a soundproof room, and it just kept me safe in that instance. Not safe for maybe someone else on the dorm that it was a tragic victim of that, but for me,
Yeah.
I was safe. But it's only because I acted on this weird whim and was mad all day that I got to the library half an hour early, before everything opened, and whatever. So, I've just tried to learn to listen and honor those weird whims, because a lot of times they keep me safe.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, we can put all sorts of words around it. You have it whims, or, things that you've paid attention to.
Mhm.
It's intuition, and it's guidance in this regard. It's like that guidance that comes through, that even could
Right.
be your own high self. It could
Mhm.
be your own
Mhm.
high self, or it could be a deceased relative, or it could be an angel, or it could be a guide, or it could be Jesus, who knows?
Right.
It could be anyone.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of things we don't know, that keeps us safe.
exactly. But what I love about your story is that I always like, there's so many times when people have those feelings and they don't take action.
Yeah.
And you were just like,
Right.
was it still dark outside, or was it
It's like 5:30 in the morning, I'm like, what am I doing? I was so mad. I was stomping around campus, mad before my test, going, I can't even get in the library. This is a waste of time. Nothing's open, can't get anything to eat, can't, nothing, So it was kind of, but even things, weird things, I'll have weird things like, don't walk that way, go this way,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
just stupid stuff.
yeah,
Oh, don't turn, whatever. Little things, and
yeah.
it's just like, okay.
And
So I just kind of follow that.
do you have dreams too that are prophetic for you, or that are symbolic in ways that, like, where you wake up and you're like, oh, I got to call that person, or
I don't know if I have dreams. I don't really
or
remember
knowings,
most of my
knowings when
dreams,
you
but yeah, it's interesting because like my mom and I would have this relationship. We weren't really that close
Mhm.
growing up. But yet I people get put I say on my heart, I keep thinking about them and keep thinking about them, keep
Yeah.
thinking about them. And so growing up, my mom and I lived far away from each other. And so I would get this, oh, I got to call her. Oh, I got to call her. Oh, I got to call her. Oh, I should call her. I need to call her, and sometimes I'd put it off a day or two because I'm busy and whatever. And it seemed like every time she'd been in the hospital or she had been sick
Yeah.
or whatever. And she's like, I'm just getting out of the hospital, or, I just got in the hospital or whatever, And so it was interesting. Oh, I've been sick. I've got pneumonia or whatever, but it would be like, I would be thinking about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then then I would call her and there was something up,
Yeah.
And so I started trying to call a little sooner, not put it off 3 or 4 days, until I had good time, good timing, and just try to act on those, but
Yeah.
that's another thing, just kind of acting on those, when you get those little,
Intuition,
yeah, I don't know. You just get a feeling. I just kind of
feeling,
sometimes
messages.
feeling know. I just kind of know,
Yeah.
because I mean, I probably, just things even with little stupid stuff like inflammation, for
That,
one thing.
yeah.
I probably started talking to my kids 10 years ago saying inflammation will be the root of all these problems with illness. You'll see. You'll see. What, I just know that inflammation has something to do with all of these problems that people are having,
Yep.
with their health and whatever. And I mean, I don't think people talked about it 10 years ago.
No, they didn't. Not,
But
not
I
in this,
knew that.
not, yeah, not in the same way, not connecting it with um inflammation with parasites, or inflammation with diet and
Right.
allergies and gluten and
Yeah.
all of that.
Ill health,
Yeah,
and the
it'll
thing,
help. Yeah.
yeah, because I thought I know it's going to be. So I don't know how or why, but I know that's going to be an issue,
Yeah.
you just know.
Well, I
So,
just have to tell you that you got the abilities.
okay. Yeah. See, and I didn't believe in that. I kind of thought it was like, really like almost sacrilegious, because my daughters were more into some of that than I was,
Mhm.
and they believed in that. And I didn't tell them, no, you can't, but yet I was always very cautious. And I'm like, y'all start to have your own lives, and everybody has their own path and their own life and the way they go. I don't know that I agree with it, but I don't know that I disagree.
Mhm.
I kind of always in my life, I take information, I
Yep.
hear something, I take information and I just kind of store it,
Yep.
and I just wait, and I get more information, and it either, you know, that, propels it and says, yes, that's true,
Mhm.
or it refutes it and says, no, that's not it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so I don't always have an opinion on things, even people. I don't make a first opinion on people. I don't want to read them. It's like, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was interesting that they were much more open than before I was,
Yeah.
and I wasn't going to say that no, but I was also very concerned that it might be something that was not godly
Mhm.
in a
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
brought up in the church and all that, you have all those things going on in your head, but even aliens. I mean, I don't know if we're talking about all that here, but even things like the things outside of just the earth,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
I think it would be very arrogant to think that we are the only living creatures ever on this one earth when there's all these galaxies and there's all these other places.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Good.
don't understand it. So it just kind of, you have to kind of be open,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting because you did mention the word sacrilegious. So what happens is, in that order of religion, and it may not even been someone in the church that says something. It could have been a church member that says, that's having their opinion on you, or your mom's opinion on you,
Right, right.
right? Which has nothing to do with the Bible, because there, or if that's what you're referring to,
Right.
because so many people look at the Bible and go, this is just a bunch of aliens, and
Yeah, yeah,
and Ezekiel talks about a spaceship, and I mean all sorts of stuff where they even built what he said.
yeah.
I mean, it's and there's a wheel, that's the Ezekiel wheel, that was made in and is used in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. So yeah. So
So all of that, and even the translations, because you got to
yes.
understand that some of the people were more simple, when they translated it, and they were looking at it through their own framework. They didn't really have necessarily a broadened view. not all of them that were writing it and translating it, you know. And I remember hearing like the Hebrew. There's one passage in the Bible. I'm not, you know, super great at going through all the parts of it, but there's a part in the Bible where it says there's, you know, many mansions, there's many rooms in many mansions in my house or something like that. And that just never made sense to me. I mean, it just really never made sense to me. I don't know why it ever made sense to everybody else, but to me, I couldn't connect it. You know, I just couldn't connect it. But when I heard the original translation, it's really in my cosmos, there are many worlds. Now that makes sense to me much more than this mansion and the rooms in the mansion.
Yeah.
And I never understood how you got in a different mansion. And, you
Yeah.
know, was it something, you know, because you can't earn it and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
my cosmos, there are many worlds. Well, then that's opening up to, we're not probably the only life force anyway.
I
You know,
love
there's
it.
probably other life forces here.
Yeah. Well, the thing also is there's so many hidden things and things that are taken out that there's not the full necessarily the full picture, and
Yeah,
some of
they edit
some,
it.
and
Yeah, just like,
some of it's even inverted. It's not, you know,
mhm.
like things are hidden throughout.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're a very perceptive young girl, evidently.
I'm not young anymore.
But when you but I mean, you were, I think you were discerning at a very young age.
I think so too. I always felt like I was an old soul, you
Yeah.
know, and I would say forever, I'm born in the wrong era. You know, I don't have all the ideals that the people here do. You know, I just don't quite fit in, you
Yeah.
know. But now I feel like I'm more like Benjamin Button because now I think I'm more like younger than I am. You know, I feel younger and I'm like, I feel like I think younger, you know, I just feel like I'm open. In the
Yeah.
end, I feel like I'm open to ideas,
Yeah.
and it's not my place to ever judge.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for me to judge ever. And so I just kind of accept it. You do you, I do me, is like, you know, and then in the end, you know, I do believe in mediums too. You know,
Yeah.
I do believe in those. And you know, I watched that Tyler guy
Yeah.
too
And
on
you know
TV.
I do that too.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Love
Yeah.
that. I love that you do. And you know, I just feel like, you know, that what I had learned, but even before you, but you know, what I had learned was that the love comes through. You know,
Oh,
there's always
yeah.
love that comes through. It's not like from the afterlife so much disappointment and
Let me,
anger, all that.
yeah, let me tell you, so for some of mine, um, I've had experiences where some of it where the consciousness that passed,
Mm-hmm.
they're still at that consciousness. It's didn't transform. And because they still had work to do. Certain people that were quite um their soul awareness was not there. So like they from the other side, they couldn't say, "Oh, I love you, daughter," or "Forgive me for," no,
Wow.
no, 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 no. So there
Like
are
as if
some.
they were still living on the earth. They thought like that.
They were still very much um the level that they were here in their energetics, it was very similar. Yeah.
Wow.
And I kept on trying to raise and go up to higher to their highest point, and
Mhm.
he said, "No, I'm not going there.
So it wasn't open.
No, not open."
Wasn't open. Yeah.
Yeah, so just know that some of that stuff that comes through because it's you know, it's on TV. You know,
Yeah.
all the good stuff is shown.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But as one of my girlfriends recently said to me, you know, some people are really tired of all this bullshit that
Yeah.
it's all like this, and it's like no, sometimes just because they pass over doesn't mean their consciousness um is any higher than when they left.
Yeah, that's crazy. See, and I learned something every time we talk. I
Yeah.
learned something from you every time,
Well, it's like, let's get real. We're pretty real with each other.
Yeah, yeah. And I tend to deal with the pragmatic and the real.
Yeah.
Don't give me a lot of fluff, I
Yeah.
it is what it is. And I can accept a lot of things. And even if I don't understand them,
Yeah.
I tend to just look at things and see, is it reasonable? Does it fit within some of my framework, or could it happen? And the other thing is, I tend to always think that everything's possible. Anything, everything is possible.
And
And
that's the true divine. That's
oh,
divinity. That's the God energy, right? Of we are
okay,
creator
that makes sense.
beings. We are
Mhm.
creator beings. Through
Yeah,
God, God works through us. And
that's
so
true.
in that is endless possibilities and probabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about angels and people that show up to do things, or you hear about weird
Yeah.
little situations
Yeah.
that they're just perfectly synchronized, and then it's like a puff of smoke and they're gone, but they were there for those few minutes, seconds, hour, whatever, and
Yeah.
then it's over. So what do
Yes.
you think about that?
Totally believe because I mean I have had people who've had where someone helped them like pick them up from someplace and in a truck or something and dropped them off,
Mhm.
and then when they turned around the person was completely gone.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those are real people, or if they're angels, or if
No,
they look like real people, or yeah, I don't know,
no,
but I believe it.
they're on the angelic realm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've always said, like, sometimes angels are all around us. Like, they look like
Yeah.
people that are around us,
Yes,
and
that is true. I mean, some people, there's earth angels.
right. That's
You
kind of
know,
what I was thinking of. Like,
yeah. Well, there's that too, but
yeah.
in it
Are they
in
live? Are earth angels like people?
they're just like you and
Or
me.
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. I can see that.
So you just
There's
might,
both.
and I might just be one.
That's kind of freaky. I don't know if I'm on that realm. I don't think I'm there yet. A few
I
hang-ups still.
but no, there are anyway, so I kept on thinking about your daughters as you were talking and saying, yeah, and then they started doing this stuff. And what happens when we have our children, every generation has another evolution that's coming in, more light that's coming in,
Right.
more
Yeah.
revealing, more at
Hmm.
least in these times, in the last 100 years, it's been more and more,
Yeah.
evident of our spiritual evolution. And so here you have these three children, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how they are speaking their truth, and you've had this knowledge that's been going on that you've been living, and it's like, oh, I can kind of
I can
relate to that.
make that leap. I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see that. You
Yeah.
know, Part of it is that I have always known. You know what I mean? Like, I know certain things, and I don't know what it is that I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's whatever, and then it comes. I don't know it at the time. I just think, oh yeah, that it's thought in my head, and
Yeah.
then 3, 4, 5, 10 years later, it's the truth of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, well, I knew that. And as I'm getting older,
Yeah.
now I know. I trust that I know it.
Yeah.
Before, I just felt like I had a very strong opinion. You know. I
Yeah.
just didn't know why,
Yeah.
but now it's like, well, I know that, but I don't know how I know that. I just know that I know.
Like the inflammation thing.
Yeah, like the inflammation thing. Like, it took like 10 years for that to show up almost,
Yeah.
as being an issue. It's been a buzzword now for the past
Yeah.
few years, but before that it wasn't. I
Yeah.
mean, they really just didn't talk about it in any circles much,
I
you
think
know.
you actually had a memory of what you were coming in for, in that sense of the timing of some of the things that were going to come up. And that was part of your memory.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it might be. Or you just picked up on it, you know,
Yeah, I
'cause
don't know how. Yeah.
yeah, well, and we do, I call it downloads, literally
Okay.
where we get
My
this information. And,
mhm.
there's, I always talk about like when Alexander Bell created the telephone. I think it was the telephone, not the telegraph.
Yeah.
One or the other, right? And another person developed the same things, and whoever, I guess one got it in to the patent before the other. And then there's
Right.
the math stuff that comes through that
Right.
gets
Mhm.
dropped in, and maybe two or three people on this world get
Right.
get it, and
Yeah.
then they bring it in.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you picked up on the inflammation.
Yeah. Weird. I know. But I
Yeah.
think I hear things too,
Hmm.
because you see things, right? Like
I all of them. I hear, see, all of them. Touch,
all of them.
feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
that's
yeah. All of them. So
at
you,
one time,
huh?
at one time, or
Not necessarily. It
they
depends
late.
how it comes in.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just the smell, and I'm like, "What is this?" And
Yeah.
the person says, and I say what I'm smelling. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's related to my mom, or that's my grand." I
Oh,
said, "I'm
okay.
getting grease smell from like a garage." Oh, my dad was a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, but I hear, because it was funny when my mom passed away. Um there was a time that I saw her, in a dream, and I don't dream very much, but I saw her in this dream, and it was in this old house that my grandma had had, and my aunt was there that when she's passed already too, and my mom was young, and I can remember like exactly what she was wearing, like and it was reminiscent. I don't know, maybe of the 60s or 70s. I mean, I really was little then, so I wouldn't have known. But because it was one of those shirts that buttoned up all the way to the top. It had a little collar, no
Color. Yep,
sleeves.
yep.
Yeah, no sleeves, and it was white with these big black flowers, big flowers on it, but it's kind of a clear whitish that linen kind of. And then she had these pants on, but I saw her sitting, so I don't know how I would have seen the pants or no. But they're the pants that you wear that zip in the back,
Yep.
and they just go to your ankles, those kind of
Yep.
whatever they're called, and I saw her sitting there laughing, and the sun was just like streaming in.
Yeah.
I could see the sun, and they were all just laughing,
Yeah.
all of them.
As soon as you said you had this dream with your mom in it,
Uh-huh.
I saw joy. Like this
Yeah.
was mom's joy, and like this setting of your mom being happy in her most joyous, like how you remember her in her most joy. And
Right.
then you start describing like all the feelings and the things that I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, and that's so crazy. That's so crazy because I'm just like talking about it, and you're seeing it too,
Oh yeah, and like the collared, I was like, oh yeah, the
Yeah.
collared and the.
Yeah, because you were agreeing, yeah, with the little collar,
Uh-huh.
and so, but it was like the light was so bright. It
Yeah,
was like
so
blinding coming
yeah,
in
yeah.
from the light,
But there
from the
was also,
outside sunlight.
yeah, and there was also all this freedom. It felt like
Oh,
like there was a lot of space. Like, does that make
oh
sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in this building that they had, and it was like they never finished it, never sheetrocked it or anything. So it was kind of, we had the over time that wood turns yellow,
Yeah.
kind of a golden look. And so it was a big room, and we would have like functions in there and
Oh,
eat and have tables. They played dominoes relentlessly,
yeah.
and so they'd be in there just laughing and playing dominoes and cutting up and whatever. But it was funny because I had that dream with her, and then I had one dream right when the first Father's Day that my mom was gone, and
Mm.
they went to different churches. They were both very religious and went to different churches, and I was going to get up and go with my dad to church, and he goes at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm not a morning person, and so I thought I'm going to go with him and go to church with them. And so it was 11, and my kids are teenagers, and I thought there's no way that I am going to be out the door at 6:30 because it's an hour and a half drive to get to
Oh,
church. There's no way that they're going to be up and ready to go in the morning. I'm tired. I'm going to have to be on my game to get them all up so we can all get out of the house at 6:30 so we can make it to his church by 8 o'clock in the morning. Not going to happen. So he knows I'm coming for lunch. I'm just going to go meet him at lunch. No big deal. You know, that was a plan because he never knew I was going to surprise him, surprise him for Father's Day because I didn't want him sitting there by himself like the first year without my mom and, sitting
Yeah.
there. And so I was like, well, I'll just go and we'll meet him at lunch like was planned. He'll go to church and we'll meet him at lunch. And I just put my head down on the pillow just for a second. And I heard my mom. She wasn't nice. She was like, Darlene, Darlene. She was screaming at me. I'm like, okay, 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 okay. I'll get up at 5 or 4 or whatever. Get the kids out the door. We did. We got there about 8:05, surprised him, but we got there to church. But I could hear her screaming at me. She was screaming at
See?
me.
I'm telling you, girlfriend, you got it. Own it.
Yeah. It was so funny. That was so funny. Yeah. So
Well,
I do hear occasional
I know,
more,
I know you mentioned something sometimes in your house.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing because I didn't know what to do about that. I was calling you like crazy because I was like, "There's somebody," you know. Sometimes I've always kind of seen little shadows here and there. Didn't just think it's like trick of the eyes kind of thing. But one time I was in bed, at night, asleep, and it felt as if somebody was taking the corners of the bed and shaking them back and forth, shaking me back and forth. Scared to death. That one really scared me. So I'm like, Lori, what do I do about this? And you told me some things to do for that, to expel them and open a door so they can leave and whatnot. But then I had this accident that thank you, you've helped me quite a bit with. But I had this accident and I was laid up on the couch because I couldn't really get in and out of my bed very well. And I almost saw the whole figure this time. It was a figure standing kind of grayish, blackish, but the eyes kind of were light white, not a person, but a grayish, dark gray color with the white. And so I did what you said before. Get out, I opened the door and yelled at them home to get out and left the door open so they could go. I think people must have thought I was crazy, at my house. But I live in like at the corner of the woods. Like half the house is kind of covered.
Yeah, and that one, I
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that being came through the woods.
Yeah, because you didn't even know I lived in the woods at the
No,
time. And you're
no.
like, they're coming from the woods. I was like, well, my house is surrounded by the woods. I'm in the woods. My house
Yeah,
is in the woods.
yeah. It's like they're just passing through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they have to sometimes, people like us attract that
Oh
because
yeah.
because they know we could see them. And so that's the prankster stuff that can go on as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, my daughter believes in fairies.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Yeah, she does. She believes in fairies.
It's-
And forever I think that the fairies play tricks on me.
Oh, the fairy, they love that, especially if you're in the forest.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm always like losing things, and then right where I look, it's there. And I'm like, I have looked here 4 times and it wasn't there, and now it is there, you know. And so the joke is kind of those damn fairies, because I didn't really believe in them, but my daughter did, and she's like, oh, they like these rings and they like copper, and they like all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, okay, honey, I'm not sure if I really, I'm there or not. And so my friend got me this little little emblem thing at the dollar store. It says welcome fairies. It's kind of a joke, because I'll be talking to her going, those damn fairies, they took something again, and then it's there later, um, and so my daughter saw that. She's like, mom, that's so sweet, you're welcoming the fairies. And I said, oh yeah, my friend got me that. And some guy was mowing my lawn. It was, we have chapters of things go on here. I've always got a fiasco or a something going on. And there were all these pennies all over my driveway, pennies, just like 30 pennies they're all over my driveway.
Yeah,
I didn't put
and it's not like you live someplace where that's happening. I mean, you're out in the boonies, right?
Yeah. I live out in the country. Yeah,
Penny,
yeah. I live,
penny,
you know,
pennies from heaven.
yeah. And so my daughter got out of the car and she was like, "Where'd all these pennies come from?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe, I guess the guy that mowed the lawn or something, that's the only person because I live alone. So that's the only person I could have guessed was they dumped it out or something. Because I was like, they're not mine. I keep pennies, but the pennies are there all over the yard. And I was like, I need to pick them up, they're going to get in the way. And she's like, fairies love pennies, Mom. They love these pennies. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, they're gonna love these pennies. I said, okay, honey. Yeah. So, but I've been nicer to the fairies, and they haven't been hiding my stuff as much. And now I ask them, hey, do you know where this is?
That's
Because
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they might be. Yeah.
I actually think there's some stuff from, I feel like it's your side of the family back in the old country connection with fairies. So what's your heritage? Do you have
German.
there's fairy stuff.
Oh, okay.
There's fairy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of German and Czechoslovakian.
Yeah. I was gonna say Czech as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all of that, back when we were connected to the elementals, and I mean that was a long
Yeah.
time ago, when people
Yeah. Yeah.
honored that, as part of part of that's nature, right? That's anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's one thing that we're not doing a good enough job in as a people is honoring nature
Mhm.
and, you know, not taking care of the wildlife and the trees and some of that stuff. I think it's definitely something that as a people we need to be working on, um, trying to replenish what we're taking down. We're trying to find other ways around it.
Well,
Uh,
one of my things is the water.
oh yeah,
I mean, not lack of it. It's about tending to
poisoning it. Yeah,
just tending to the water. Yeah,
yeah,
and almost every day I say to myself or to my oldest son who lives with me, I'm like, um, gee, I wonder what the Indians used to wash with. You
yeah.
because I wasn't it's like, and I homeschool my kids on and off, and so we've gone to the places where you make your own soap out of, you know,
Lie or
lime or
whatever. Yeah,
yeah, and it's just, was that even something that they used back,
yeah.
thousands of years ago? What did they do? Were
Right.
they more sophisticated than us that 1,000 years ago? And they, you know,
I don't know. The pyramids are pretty sophisticated. When you
well,
think about the pyramids, they still baffle me.
oh yeah, we are not the first civilization on this planet. We are
There
not.
you go. The pyramid, yeah, they don't make any sense to me at all. There is no way people scooting around with a wheel pushing with people, man force built the pyramids. This doesn't make sense to me. Mm-mm. No, it doesn't. But that's my own thing. Sorry.
But, so you also have some. Well, what else I find that you have is critical thinking. Like if it doesn't make sense to you, you start
Yeah,
your critical thinking. Like that.
yeah,
But that
yeah,
that discernment
yeah.
and critical thinking.
For sure, for
Yeah,
sure. If it doesn't fit, I'm not going to make it fit because you said it fits.
yeah, right.
I'm not really good with that anyway. Just because you said it doesn't mean it's like, okay, not just you, but anybody, just because they say it doesn't make it true,
Exactly.
might not be true. Are you reliable? Are you trustworthy? Does what you say make sense? Or do you follow people? You got
Yeah.
to be a critical thinker,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know?
listen, I even have problems with um, you know, theories like um mathematical theories and physics theories, even that not are not proven. It's like, wait,
Right, right.
why are we assuming this at the very beginning?
Yeah.
What? Wait,
Yeah.
that's like cancel. That's like, and
Yeah.
nowadays, guess what?
Mhm.
It's gonna be proven.
See,
And
and I don't know much about all the math. That's
yeah.
not in my realm. I'm good with not doing much math, I think. So I don't think I look at those too much.
Well, it's more of just my part of my knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
part of my knowing. I mean, I remember I thought it was the craziest thing. I had this brain injury, I don't know, after surgery, like how many years ago? 2001, February. And afterwards, I went to this lady and she said, here, and she just gave me all these different sheets. And it was anything from word problems to math problems. I remembered my high school sine and cosine, my pre-calculus class. I
Oh
was
my
doing
God.
I was doing formulas in pre-calculus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I would have been
I mean, and I'm like, how? But
still there.
I also remember in I think in college I may have taken a philosophy class and it had to do with logic or whatever. And then
Hmm.
at some point in my life, I moved to New York and I was applying for this job and I was doing there was this math part. I was applying. They wanted anyway. They wanted me to work for this economics guy in a firm,
Oh, okay.
you know, and and I was just doing it. It was these statements: is this true or false? I
Yeah.
got I got 100%. It was all into it was like a little bit of that what I remembered, and then just
Yeah.
logic
Yeah.
that if this and that, if this,
Yeah.
they said we
If
want,
this is that, then it's got to be that. Yeah.
yeah, you qualify for this job
Wow.
just from your ability to do that. And I said, but I don't do that every day. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you have the skills to do
Yeah.
it. So what I'm
Mhm.
saying is there's so many aspects of who we are
Mhm.
that are other dimensions of us, maybe even other realms of us.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
there's you in a fairy realm.
Maybe. Meeting my friends. Hey, I'm back on the group. You never know. I think
For now.
everything is possible. So you never know, Um, and it's interesting, even dreams, because
Oh,
sometimes I have some dreams and I have some pretty weird dreams
yeah.
fighting. I feel like Men in Black fighting off monsters, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know where it comes from, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember not too long ago, I had a dream where I was out in this ranch area and there was a spaceship stuff. There was all this Men in Black stuff. And I kept on saying it. I was taken up and I'm like, I am a sovereign being. And and I looked down and it wasn't my skin. It was like a Mexican dark, like it was like
Darker complected.
it's like, are you guys collecting all the workers out here and you know what I mean? Like kidnapping them? Like
Yeah.
I was just like, and it was so real. And then the next night I had another part of it. And I was
Yeah.
just like, you are not. And I was fighting them and I was just, yeah, but everything was so vivid.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I have those. I'm not a big dreamer, but sometimes, and then I will recreate the same dream again. Sometimes I'll have the same dream over and over. I
Oh
used to
yeah.
do that a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I would just keep redreaming, and then I would go and change the ending because I didn't like it. So, if I didn't like it, I just start changing the ending up, you know,
That's
because I
all about manifesting.
is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like change if you don't like it, change it.
Yeah, I always did that. I
Yeah.
changed it, forever. And now it's weird because I don't know if it's called lucid dreaming, but literally I can be dreaming and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's light outside, let me look. Okay, yeah, it is light outside. Okay, let me go back to, okay, go back, and I go right back to the dream,
Yeah.
and then I go right back to awake. And it's like, okay, well, I really do need to get up. Okay, I guess I need to stop. Okay, well, no, just a minute more. You know what I mean? And I just kind of flip back and forth
That's
between.
you actually going in and out of those realms or
Yeah,
dimensions.
weird. That's
Yeah,
really
most of us at least 3 hours a night are working on, out. I mean, we are out of our bodies at least.
yeah.
I mean, and I come back and I'm sometimes, I don't know about you, I'm like, "Oh my god, did I work hard last night? Oh my god."
I know, I'm so tired, yeah, but I'll do it, like, even when I'm, like, kind of like driving and different things, I go back and forth sometimes, I'm like, "This is kinda getting scary here," because I see that I do that
Yeah,
sometimes.
you do have to be careful of that. Sometimes, yeah, it can cause accidents.
I Yeah, my good. Yeah, yeah, not a good thing, not a good thing.
Not this last one.
Yeah, not this last one it wasn't, but yeah, I could, but I think and I guess it's because I thought, well, maybe because I'm tired, or maybe because, I think I kind of get catatonic when I'm on these long trips. It's like the same thing, I'm just not a great alert,
Well,
driver, unless there's people speeding and I'm
it's
looking for cops or
actually
something.
what it does for some people, it puts them in a meditative mode. And
Oh, okay.
and so it's just kind of, well, for you, you just get bored. And then it's just
Mhm.
like, I'm out of here. Like I can see your spirit doing this. Ah, this is so boring. I'm out of here. And
I'm gone.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so like part of you is here, but yeah, it's like the suits here,
Yeah, yeah, the body is right
the
sitting
the
in
auto
front of
the
you.
autopilot's on,
Yeah,
but
I
you're
can
like,
see that. Yeah, yeah, I am done. I am so done. Yeah, yeah, that
yeah,
I can see that too with me. Yeah,
yeah,
because I have to flip, 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 flip back and forth to
yeah,
kind of stay focused.
yeah.
If that makes sense. No.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't stay with one thing too long.
Well,
I
and
got to be doing a few things.
I actually think that part of attention deficit disorder has to do with being able to go in and out of those different dimensions.
Oh, okay.
And some
Yeah,
of our quote mental illness has to do with
you
like,
know, um, that's really been my contention. Like even like people that are
I know,
schizophrenic,
I was biting the
uh,
word.
yeah, because I work in healthcare, and I'm thinking, who's to say you're not talking to your mom?
Yep,
Um, who's to say you don't have that?
yep,
Because um, even as a child, and I think I've told you this or told you a little bit about it, but when I was a kid, I used to talk to me, it was God, and
mhm.
I talked to God every day on the way home, and He talked back.
Like,
Like
were
we
you
went up our
walking
house.
home? Were you walking
I was
home?
walking home. I was walking home and I'm talking, blah, 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 blah. And he's talking too, blah, 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 blah. And there's nobody there, I'm pretty sure. I don't even know. But every day we're having this conversation just on the way home, walking home from the bus every day. That was our thing. Every day we're just chit chatting about whatever. I don't even know what, it's just daily. That's what we do. When I was by myself, not when I had friends, but when I was by myself, we're chit chatting about whatever our day. He's my friend, and I've never had this. Toward God, I've never had this. Oh, why did you do this? He's like my friend. Like, I tell him what's going on, and can you help me with this or whatever. It's more of a friend kind of thing.
Yes.
It's how I approach it. That's my approach.
Yeah.
Um, and so, after I got older, though, I thought that's kind of silly. That's just kind of a kid thing.
Uh,
It's not really real. You don't really talk to God. Nobody talks to God
yeah.
and He talks back. That's just me thinking that He's talking back to me. You know what I mean? And so I really didn't believe it. I thought, oh, that was a kid thing. And I just believe that because kids are naive and they believe that. And so many years later, I was going through a divorce, and my friend was also going through divorce. And we were at this all women's camp, yeah, this retreat for the weekend, and we had these big round tables. We're sitting with all women. There, there's like 10 people to a table, and 10 or 12 tables, I don't know, a bunch of tables. And there's a lot of these women. We're all sitting in there, and I'm actually praying for my friend
Mhm.
because I'm like, okay, I'm going through divorce, but I'm okay. I'm not shattered. It's okay. I'm going to get through this. She's not okay at all. It was a devastation for her. And so anyway, we're all sitting down there praying, heads down or whatever. And they had like these partitions in the very back.
Yeah.
And on those partitions, it's kind of like those ones that divide rooms. They kind of cloth and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
And yeah, and they've got stuff back there in the far back and whatever. And I heard this loud man's voice, or we're all women here, this loud, I am with you, very loud. And I just thought, I turned around, I'm looking and I'm like, there's no men here, and I'm trying to find the guy that said that, thinking, okay, well, what are we doing now? Or, we're supposed to be praying. So I guess this is the next thing we're about to do. And then I start looking around at all those other tables and everybody else still got their head down praying. And I'm just like, that was like an eye opener for me. That was really an eye opener. Then at that point, I was like, I wasn't making that up as a kid, it was real.
And what I think was, so how many years do you think that you went? Because this is common. This is more common than where we have those connections in our youth and then we turn them off.
Yeah. I mean, I was in my 30s and I was a kid and like 10 before. So probably a good couple decades.
Where it was turned off.
It's off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that I could hear it or anything.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I haven't heard anything except my mom screaming at me, whenever.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, she screamed at me. Mad at me that I wasn't going to go see my dad. So I made sure I got there,
And
But other than that, I haven't really heard anything, but I do know it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do know it's possible.
Yeah. And you pray all the time in your head when you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, because I do it just like it's my friend, you know what I mean? I'm doing it. It's just driving to work, doing here, I mean, it's just throughout the day. It's not, prayer to me is not some
church
formal thing.
Yeah. It's not like you have to go to church to pray.
No,
you're just in the flow of,
it's a conversation, like almost, but it's one-sided now. But but it is still, oh, well, can you help me out with this, or really I need some work on this, give me strength to do this or whatever, it's a one-sided conversation for sure right now, but it's ongoing throughout the day, little tidbits like, thank you for this or whatever, just through the day.
Yes. So you mix in gratitude along with
Definitely, because there's a lot of things to be thankful
with
for.
guidance, with asking for guidance and
sure. I mean, you can look outside how beautiful it is, even now when it's 100 degrees, 150 here almost feels like. But it's still, you still got the wildlife and we're still a little bit greenery, but you've got everything that's here, you still see deer every day eating and coming around and hanging out in the yards and stuff. They think their dog's here, so they just chill,
yeah
walk up the driveway, down the street, they think they're the dogs.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Cool. I just love that you were up for a conversation.
Oh yeah, and you're pretty, you amaze me actually, I mean, I just because it's like you're my go-to. I can call you and say, hey, what about this or what about that or what, and like it really did touch me whenever I had a wreck recently, and I was having these pains every time I would lean to the left or lean to the right or try to stand up. It was like an electric bolt, and I would feel it, and then it would be a cramp, and it was really debilitating. After my wreck, and I was like, how am I going to go back to work and what am I going to do? And you called me and said, can I do a healing for you? And I was like sure. And I was like, really not sure what that really meant exactly, but I was like, sure, that'd be great, and you said God led you to do that, and so I was like, that would be wonderful. And I think, did you say you felt it too? Is that right? Did you feel that or no?
When you say, did I feel that? I don't know what you're asking.
That prod, that electric bolt that I got every time I try to move a
I did. I
certain
don't
way or whatever.
remember. I don't remember. At the time I could have, but I
I
know
think you did say you felt it,
I
and I was
can't
like,
remember.
"You felt it?"
See,
Oh, okay,
I
yeah,
don't
because it was
remember
bad.
because if I talked,
Yeah,
I said, "Oh yeah, this is what I felt when I was," and then so I just did a,
yeah,
I
and
just
I felt so much better. It just was like bearable then. Because it really wasn't bearable
yeah,
at that
I knew there was stuff that was stuck,
point. Hmm.
that needed to the energy lines needed to be opened up and grounded into the earth, and that kind of lightning bolt sort of feeling needed
Hmm.
to be grounded in as well to the earth. Just like how you ground a house in, electric,
Right, right.
you needed to be grounded in. But
Okay.
it needed to move, so I moved the energy through.
See, and I can't even like conceptualize. I don't even understand that. My daughter does Reiki too, and she's like, I can now feel the energy like in a ball.
Yeah,
Like,
you can too. Just go like this. Kind of pulse it like this. See what you feel in between, and you're going to start feeling.
maybe, maybe I'm not. I have to practice and see. I don't know. I'll just keep gathering information and we'll see how that works. Yeah, but she'll say she can do all this, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've really opened my eyes because I really was afraid to have that conversation with my girls at
Oh,
all.
oh,
Especially Tess, because Tess would tell me about blue lights, and she would tell me that she actually had things like spirits and things at night. Like one time, it was just weird stuff, and she even had to move from a place
yeah.
because of that. And I'd be calling you up, hey, what do you think about this? Because I didn't know. Number one, I knew my daughter thought it was real, and I knew that she wouldn't just make it up,
Yeah.
but I didn't have any idea of how to deal with it. And you're the only person I know that knows anything about this, and you seem to know a lot about all of it, so it's pretty impressive.
Oh, well, I'm always guided to do it. Grace comes in, and just like you do your work, it
Yeah.
and you're led through your life and your prayer and
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
connections. Same thing with my work. In this,
Yeah.
okay, I feel like this needs to happen, or
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, because you just sometimes know that somebody needs
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, because I even do that in my job. I
yeah.
know that, well, I do speech therapy, but sometimes, I'm saying that we're doing discourse, which is conversation, a goal directed conversation, but we are, but they needed something, they needed some things.
Yeah.
Um, they just needed that, they needed someone to hear them and different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and often when you're just sitting with someone, whether or
Hmm.
not it's a discord or silence, your
Hmm.
presence, it's the presence of someone's smile and someone's attention, and
Hmm.
and there's there's love that's emitted, especially in service.
Right.
And most
Right.
of us, believe it or not, are in service, but
Yeah.
we don't acknowledge it in the same way.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, and I really think that if everybody could take that focus, I know there's a lot of wounded people and a lot of people that have other things going on, but if they could find um, ways to share love and and to figure out forgiveness, I think it would help people in general. It would help all mankind. You know,
Mhm.
is to try to forget about some of the other stuff that they focus on.
Well, yeah, and part of that living in the past, you know, trying
Mm,
you're living in the past, you're not living in the now.
right,
You don't
right.
forgive. And the forgiveness part is some of that is forgiveness of self.
A lot of it is. I think a lot of that is. I mean, I think that um I don't know how or why I feel like I've kind of more mastered some of that, not all of it, because I've about some things I'm like, "Ugh," but a lot of it, I'm like, when my mom, when I grew up, it was always shame on you for this and shame on you for that, and all this stuff. And finally, I was about 20. I was like, I'm not gonna be shamed on anymore. I didn't do it. You it's not me. It's like that's your stuff.
Yeah.
And even when people come at you, sometimes, they come at you with an attitude. I deflect some of that. And I think that's on them. They're having a bad day or whatever, and sometimes maybe I should be a little bit more like, oh, that was something I really did, but most of them I'm like, oh, that's on them, they're having a rough day, that's okay, I don't have any hard feelings, it's all good,
Yeah.
so I don't know, little oblivious, maybe.
Well, sometimes I think you are a great example for me because we've talked about this with boundaries about, how,
Yeah.
I won't get into it, but our personal lives where we have to, set our
Mhm.
boundaries for our loved ones who have have not necessarily been that respectful.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah,
And even though they may grovel a bit, it's still, there's still some, nah, you just got to do a little bit more than,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I know. I kind of started that, and it's sad in a way, but I guess I was in a bad marriage,
mhm,
kind of what we've talked about, and at the end of that, when it was all said and done, I tried everything I could to continue it, and to work on it and to improve it, and because my philosophy is you're married for life, you know, it's a one and done thing, and you figure it out because you're gonna get over it, and you're gonna overcome these things, and you'll be better at the other side of it, so keep working, keep
yep,
working. And eventually it didn't work, and I didn't have much of a choice, and I think, part of it, I think, was that he just didn't believe in God at all, you
mm,
know,
yep,
just
yep,
didn't believe at all. He
yep,
said, I tried that praying thing, it didn't really work, so no. And I was like, well, then we don't have a basis, because that is my whole foundation for life. I am definitely, um, everything I do is in that power. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Is within that framework.
yeah,
That's what gives meaning to life. So we don't have that when we got, I'm sorry, that's just it for me. But
yeah,
when we were done, finally done, I said no one will ever treat me like that again.
yeah, yeah,
And then that was like my line in the sand,
yeah,
and not my kids and not
yeah,
other people, no one, you know
yeah,
and I have very good walking away skills from people, even if I love them,
yeah,
even if whatever, I don't always make the best choices, you kind of get down in a rut or down a rabbit hole or whatever, and but I can walk away.
yeah.
That's
But
I can.
I honored that skill because if you're not taking care of self, you're not taking care of spirit.
Right, right.
And that and numero uno, and then who else? How are you going to go to work and tend to the
Yeah,
rest of, you know,
of the world that you need to. Yeah, do
yeah,
the work you need to. And it's kind of, I always say this, but I still think it's true. When you get on an airplane, they say if you lose cabin pressure, you always put the mask on yourself first and then on the next person. Because if you don't have the mask on you, you can't help anybody else,
abs-
and I think that's true in life. You've got to kind of make sure that the basics is covered for yourself before you can branch out to help other people.
I love
Otherwise
hearing.
on a limb,
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, strong lady.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I've enjoyed this.
I really,
Yes.
you got to come back on, and then next time maybe we'll talk about a little bit about ASEA. I forget what
Yeah. Yeah. Me and
you
my
know,
see
is
this is
that your
just water. Nah,
Oh, it's
they're
just
just
your water. Yeah, our redox molecules that are really good for your for so much.
for
Yeah,
so much. Yeah,
yeah,
just helping your body communicate. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
That's how we met, by the way. We wouldn't had that it not been for redox, we would not have met.
And
You know,
we both had to travel to get there.
there you go. There you go. We both did.
Both
Yes, for
traveled to
sure.
get there, and
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
and it's been a blessing ever since. So, and I've got to meet at least one of your daughters, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right, yeah,
Yeah, Tess. You met Tess. Blue
yeah,
light daughter. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, she was there, wasn't she? This did she?
Was the very first time because we were fast friends. We met like 3 minutes and we're just like magnets, you know. And then because I said, oh, you're into woo woo like my daughter, you know, because I was like not even sure what a psychic if they were real, you know. I and I still haven't had like my my fortune read, you know, with cards or Reiki. I've not done hardly anything really, you know. I'm still so maybe a baby in the whole realm of it. I believe it a little bit more,
Yeah,
but I haven't done a lot, you know. And
but a lot of those tools are tools that part of those tools you already have in your system, because like the cards are just tools for the medium to see something and then tell a
oh
bigger story, where you already have a conversation going, and if you wanted to ask more about that person, I bet you get a sense, you'd either feel it or you'd hear it or you'll know what needs to
yeah,
happen for that person.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
are already a divining rod yourself,
okay,
where cards and these sort of things are parts of divination. And so
yes,
you already have that connection. And
yeah,
so if you actually like, I didn't even learn tarot. People like, you do tarot, and like, no, I don't need cards.
right, right, right,
So if I sit at a
yeah,
booth and everyone has their cards out, and I might set some out, so because
yeah,
people come up and say, "Oh, will you use the cards?" and I'm like, "Pick your deck," and then I'll just,
yeah.
you know, I have them shuffle it. I have them put down the cards and I keep them face down, and then I do the reading and I said, "Now turn the cards over."
uh
And it's like, we covered this, we covered this, we covered this, we covered, you know.
that's crazy. Yeah, I've never done cards. You know, my daughter got me some angel cards because was it you or
Yeah,
was it
could have been.
that told me that I have a connection with angels, or was it her? I don't know. I
I
think it.
I I think you do have connection. So let it be.
Yeah, I think you do because it was interesting because for Christmas she got me some angel cards.
Are
She
they
went to the store.
are they this size or the little teeny tiny ones?
Big.
Oh,
They're
good.
big.
Good.
Yeah, they're the big ones, and they explain everything,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I once or twice, you know, I've done them, but I don't really know what I'm doing. I just think of a question and flip a card, you know.
Yeah.
Basically, I haven't even broken the. It's bound
Yeah.
with a piece of paper. I haven't even broken the binding. I just kind of pull a little card out and then see where it is and push it back in.
Oh my God, you funny girl. Okay, so this is it. You get your energy on them. You can shuffle them. You can just get them on your bed and or a table and mix them around, or you can just shuffle them like a deck of cards, or you could shuffle them
Yeah.
this way, and
Uh-huh.
then just ask your question. You can either just take the top one, or some people split it in threes. You come up with you, but get that
Okay.
deck out own it. Own it in that sense of,
Pulled it out of the middle and then
yeah,
answer the question. I was like, okay, it
yeah,
works.
yeah, because I can see you asking, and sometimes you might get, how many cards should I pick for this question? Ask the
Yeah.
question and how many cards,
Oh,
and
I
maybe,
thought you only supposed to pick one. I
but
don't know.
well, sometimes it might be two or three.
Oh, okay.
So, just if you just think it's one, then one, and if you don't feel satisfied, then say, how many more cards am I supposed to pull?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
because it might be a story that goes together.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's about me, and oh, that's about the situation. Oh, and that's,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting that you told me that I had some connection to angels, but yet my daughter picked out an angel tarot deck. She looked and looked and looked and just thought it was the neatest deck. And she said, "Oh, you've always loved angels, Mom. So I got you the angel tarot deck."
Oh, so she actually got you a tarot deck because there's also, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's a
But
tarot deck.
but honestly, there's oracle cards, that are just have messages or and
Oh,
things like that, and you can describe. So you don't have to work as hard.
oh, yeah.
You don't want
I
to.
don't know. I don't know what it is. It's got angels and they're pretty pictures. So like Michelangelo pictures.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
they're
so lovely.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, very beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. So, but I'm not sure what they are.
And
And I haven't even broken the seal yet since Christmas. It's August. Yeah.
we
So,
have to get off soon because I think we've been on close to an hour and a half, but I'm not sure. But I wanted
oh,
to let you know that
yes.
I just have to chuckle because of all the flowers in your house, and your
Hmm.
sheets are and
Yeah.
pictures and everything.
Yeah.
That's really part of the fairies too. I'm just
That
gonna
is funny.
I'm just gonna show you. Do you have a lot of seashells in your house too? No,
No, I
that's your
actually,
does your daughter have a lot of seashells in her house?
yes, because
Okay.
she thinks she's a mermaid.
Yeah. Well, and when I sat down with her, I remember at dinner,
Yeah.
I turned to her and I said something about the mermaid thing, and
Yeah. Oh,
her eyes got all turned on. And so
yeah.
she's the one with the shells.
Yeah, she's definitely the one with the shells. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's always been the ocean. She would go, God, used to scare me to death. She would go swim and she would just go out there so far she couldn't hear me yelling for her. I had to get a whistle when I went to the beach because she would just go all the way out, like where boats are.
Yeah.
Don't go swim that far. No floats, no nothing. She'd just go swimming out there and have the best time. And I'd be blowing my whistle on the beach, going, "Oh my gosh, no lifeguards here. How am I going to rescue her? She needs to be rescued." She didn't, but yeah, she used to scare me to death.
Well, spirits got her.
Kiddos did. Yeah, I guess so. Thankfully, 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 because it scared me to death as a mom. Had that whistle, blowing that whistle.
Because I swear she's one with the ocean. I mean,
She is. She loves to swim.
she's just
Yeah,
like one with the ocean. It's like it's really powerful for her.
it is. It is.
So you
Yeah,
need to get her back to the ocean.
yeah. She wants to go, but I think she doesn't want to be so hot. We're all too hot this year.
All right, my love. I
All
love
right.
uh,
Thank you.
okay, we'll do another conversation next week.
Okay, sound good. Sound good. All right. See ya. Good. Bye. We'll talk again. Bye bye.
Bye.